Hi, I'm Kathy Cobb. I'm the founder of Gabbin with the Girls.
Hi, I'm Gail McCann. I am the creative director of Gabbin with Girls.
And I'm Linda Kendrick, and I am a mom of three girls. I am a wife of Larry Kendrick of almost 35 years, and I'm also the author of How to Become the Successful Boss of Successful Employees.
So, welcome to God's Girls at Work. Linda, why don't you just jump in and tell us about this book and why you wrote it?
Okay.
Because it's a great book.
Okay. Well, I have always been the type of person that I observe people, I observe their personalities. I love people. I love relationships. And so in the years that I've worked, I have noticed that a lot of people have a tough time with their employers, relating to the employer-employee relationship. And so I just decided to kind of sit down and put my thoughts together. And I think what this book is a culmination of is my thoughts on what kind of employee I want to be, and that translates into what kind of employer I would like to have. So that's what it is. It's kind of like the working ethics book, and simple, short, and it's just something that I felt was really necessary. And if it helps one employer to be a better person, a better employer, then that's what it was written for.
Well, I have to admit, it's kind of fun. I mean, Linda gets right to the point on some things, and it kind of cracks you up because she no bones. It's just talk about the way it is. And,
Absolutely.
and that's really good. But tell us, what is one of the stories that you want to share out of this in your chapter? Something that really, is a nugget for everybody that is an employee, an employer.
I think the gist of this book is working with a spirit of excellence. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I'm about, and I think that is so important, because if you're coming into the workplace every day with a spirit of excellence, no matter what's going on around you, that work ethic and being the best that you can be at what it is that you do is just going to be contagious. Mm-hmm. It's not only going to be contagious to the people that you work with, it's going to show your boss that you're there to give 125%, and not just coming to collect your paycheck, doing your job, collect your paycheck, and go home for the weekend. And so that's what I'm all about. And I think that that's what I've put into this book, that if I'm going to come in every day, I'm going to work with that spirit of excellence, and I'm going to give it everything that I have, then I would expect that my employer would do the same.
So what is your definition of a spirit of excellence?
An attitude of, I'm here to do my job. I'm not here to look at what Joe Schmo or Sally Smith is doing over here. We all have been in offices. We've all been in workplaces where there's the gossiper or the whiner and the complainer or this or that. Okay, mm-hmm. We're there to do our job and to do it well. And my idea is that if we're all working and doing our jobs the best that we can do, that whatever that job is or whatever that place of employment is, it's going to be working like a well-oiled machine if everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. If we're worried about how much work so and so's doing over here or this one's doing over here, that just messes up the process. Mm-hmm. There's no team effort. There's no joining together and to get the job done. So that's kind of like that spirit of excellence. It's just going and giving it your best.
So you talk about it's how to become the successful boss. Mm-hmm. What does that successful boss look like to you, Linda Kendrick?
The successful boss, to me, looks like someone who, let's go to an interview. Okay, we're at an interview, and typically it's the boss who's interviewing you. Okay, if you're taking the time, if a boss is taking the time to interview many people, and they're trying to get the exact person for that job, okay, mm-hmm. then if they've done that successfully, then that boss needs to allow that employee to do the job that they have hired them to do. Okay, many times from what I've observed and all the people that I interviewed before I wrote my book, we have a lot of employers who are micromanagers. Okay, you're there, he hired you to do a job, and yet he's standing over you, critiquing everything that you do. That's tough to work.
So why do you think that person does that? That they, have to feel that they have to stand over you, and because it doesn't bring out the best for the
It
employees.
absolutely does not. It absolutely does not. And I think there are a lot of things that come into play. There's a lot of pressures, especially in today's society. Okay, we're all about production in whatever the business might be, and there's a lot of pressure on employers, because typically an employer has somebody above them. Okay, they have to answer to that person. So those pressures that they fall under, okay, if they aren't exactly secure about themselves and what they do, that can translate to the people under them as just wanting to make sure that they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing, and that becomes micromanagement. So if we're secure enough in the fact that we have hired good people, and we know that those people are, the worst thing that you can do is to hire somebody, not take the time to interview and to figure out where these people come from. Because if you're trying to put somebody into a place where, if you put me into, a position of trying to work on a piece of machinery, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go duh, because you know what? I don't know a thing about it. Okay. But put me in a place where I'm in customer service and I'm, going to help people. That's where I shine. Those are where my gifts and talents. And that's where I think a lot of employers fall short.
Well, you've been talking about a boss and when you get hired. So what happens, or do you have some advice for those that are the employee that's been hired, and then, they think they're going to go for a certain job, and all of a sudden they're over in the copier room where they were supposed to be, marketing. What would you suggest for that employee to be able to, go to that boss? I mean, what would the process be for something like that? Because it's got to be very upsetting and frustrating and fearful at the same time to approach somebody, because you might be fearful you'd lose your job.
Right.
So what would you,
that actually has happened, in my journeys. That's happened a couple of times actually to me. And the one thing that I like to encourage people to do is to be honest. Okay, your boss is human. All right, and typically, even though they may not be great administrators, all right, they hopefully are intelligent people. Okay, so if you go to them in honesty and you're prepared to help them to understand that, this is what I thought I was going to be doing, or this was, or even, I thought this was going to be great, but I think that I would benefit the business if I were, okay? And, it does work. Honesty is always the best policy. And if you're sitting back and you're just hating what you do and you're not doing well at it, you're not being productive, hey, believe me, your boss is probably going to figure that out. So I just really believe that one-on-one, and and that's where a lot of that stuff, the underlying gets started.
Right.
Okay, like what I call the cancers in the office. Okay, that's
so
where that
true.
because we're not happy. When we're happy, that's when we're always going to be the most productive. We're going to be the most influential, and we're going to see things grow all around. And that's relationships, that's productivity, that's whatever the situation may be. I started out in dentistry probably about 20 years ago, and I started out just willy-nilly from being in the school district teaching, and just thought that this would be a different thing for me. And I started out as a dental assistant, so I was clinically in people's mouths. All right, and specifically children. I started out in children's dentistry. Just kind of All right, and so I did that. I did that for 4 years, and I thought, oh, okay, God, you can help me do this, and I can be the best. No, No. And knowing who I was, I'm just always been a great administrator. And so, I love to serve people. I'm a customer, I'm a people person. So I just matriculated my skills of dentistry, all that I learned over almost 5 years, into the administrative part of it. And I went out and I started selling myself and sending my resumes around. And I was like, okay, I'm going from an assistant, but now I want to run this office. And one of the doctors right here in Marietta kind of took a chance on me. And that's when I became, the runner of the office instead of the one in the mouth. So knowing your gifts and talents are key. So,
They are.
yeah.
Stay tuned for part 2 as Linda Kendrick shares on the importance of developing excellent communication skills in the workplace. To learn more about how you can partner with this cutting-edge organization, contact us at www.gabbingirls.com.